An Evil Pair by IloveCodeLyoko. Entirety. Let's begin. Back in Equestria, in Canterlot High, Adagio Dazzle was sitting on a bench. "I hope Sonata and Aria come with the necklaces from the jewelry store," she said. Right after then, an idea flashed through her mind. It was a bright but evil idea. "I should bring villains to rule Equestria. We can become—" She got up and held her hands up. "An evil pair." Everybody looked at her, as if she was insane. "Ugh, those students," she said through clenched teeth. She went inside Canterlot High. Every student glanced at her. Some of them whispered to each other. She looked at everyone while walking to the classroom. She felt hatred and mistrusted by them. As she entered in the classroom, Pinkie Pie was sitting next to her. "Hey, Adagio!" Pinkie exclaimed. Adagio did not reply. She was silenced and waited until the lesson started. Everyone was murmuring and whispering as they saw her. The rest of the Human Five were staring at her. When the lesson ended, she walked aimlessly through the halls. Tears were filling her eyes, but she hid them by blinking. When she went at her locker, she saw Sonata and Aria's locker. She let her tears down like a fountain. She continued walking and walking without direction. Suddenly a huge crowd was in front of her. Excuse me," she said. Nobody moved out of the way, as if they didn't hear it. She pushed everyone out of the way. In front of her there was a newspaper stand. "Disaster outside of Canterlot High. A 16-year-old girl screamed that she was going to make an evil pair," the main title was. Adagio knew it was her. I mean, who will it be? Besides, it was a picture with her. She ran in the crowd and away from Canterlot High, away from her enemies she'd known before as keepers of negative energy. As she was away enough, she breathed deeply and calmed down. She saw the Human Five running behind her. "Wait!" screamed Rainbow Dash. "We need you!" continued Rarity. "Why do you need me? Do you want me to ruin everything? Again?" Adagio said, barely audible because of the wind. The Human Five weren't hearing her. They were just staring at her from the other side of the road. Adagio retracted behind a building. "Why am I comporting like this? Why am I like a monster I was in Equestria?" she said, crying. The door of the building opened. The great and powerful Trixie peeked her head out. "Oh, it's you. Adagio Dazzling or something like it?" Trixie asked. "It's Adagio Dazzle," she replied. "And yes, it's me." "Come in," Trixie said warmly, while helping Adagio get in. Inside there was a huge hall. Trixie opened the room in the center. "This is the living room," she said. "There is the kitchen and the bathroom. In the left there were 2 doors, the same in the right. I have my bedroom and the guest bedroom," Trixie explained. "There is another bed in the living room if you want to sleep there." "No, thanks. I'll stay in the guest bedroom," replied Adagio. Trixie and Adagio went in the kitchen, and Trixie prepared rice with chicken. Adagio sat on the chair and waited until dinner was ready. A few minutes later it was ready. Trixie put the plate on the table, and the 2 ate peacefully. "Adagio, I haven't seen you since the Battle of the Bands," Trixie said. "Me neither," replied Adagio while slicing the chicken. Later, Adagio changed in her pajamas. She went to her bed and fell asleep quickly. The next day, Adagio jumped out her bed and ran to the statue. "It's now or never," she said. Voices echoed through her mind. "No! You can find the best villains in Equestria. Don't do it." You can invite Queen Chrysalis, Nightmare Moon, and Starlight Glimmer. You can hurt yourself. They are the evilest. She went through the mirror and transformed into a pony. She took paper and a quill and wrote letters to Queen Chrysalis, Nightmare Moon, and Starlight Glimmer. The letters were like this. Dear Queen Chrysalis, Nightmare Moon, Starlight Glimmer, I invite you to conquer Equestria together. It will be fun. Adagio Dazzle. P.S. Meeting is in front of Canterlot. She rolled the letters and put them in the mailbox. The mailman picked them up and went to deliver them. Author's note. You may find a lot of mistakes, so please don't blame me. I am doing chapters a little often because of school and stuff. In the summer, I promise I'll start more fix. Chapter 2, Guard Mania. When Nightmare Moon received the letter, she thought that it could be really fun. Besides, who would like to unite with other villains to rule over Equestria? She couldn't get out because of the guards staying near the door. She stayed all night long finding a solution. Before she casted Eternal Night, she had tons of ideas. Blast the guards? Sneak out? Teleport? She chose the safest way, teleporting. She charged her horn and teleported in the back of Canterlot, where no guards were present. She hid behind the fountain. Unfortunately, she slipped and fell in it. I hate fountains, she murmured, very quiet. She teleported out and became dry. She hid behind a tower. I need to have plans, she continued. She summoned the letter and read it again. As she heard the guards coming, she accidentally let go of the letter. I heard someone fell in the fountain, a guard said. Wait, another guard said. That guard saw Nightmare Moon's flowing tail. The two gasped and took out their spears. Is anybody there? The first guard said. We have spears and we're not afraid to use them, continued the other. Nightmare Moon quickly teleported on the top of the castle. The guard saw her and the unicorn guard shot a laser beam at her. The Pegasus guard flew to her. Emergency! Nightmare Moon has returned, announced the unicorn guard to the other guards. The other guards went to the unicorn guard, and all the unicorns prepared for attack. The Pegasi flew around Nightmare Moon. You can't escape! Exclaimed a Pegasus guard. All the Pegasi flew with one hoof in front. Nightmare Moon dodged, and she hit one of the guards. A unicorn guard shot a laser beam and hit Nightmare Moon back right hoof, revealing a part of Luna. Ow! She screamed. She teleported in the sky, flapping her wings. The Pegasi all flew to her. Get away! Nightmare Moon said, charging her horn again. She made a wave that crashed all the guards away. She flew safely on a grass spot in front of Canterlot. Author's note. I said guard a lot. Okay, this is really short. I'll make longer chapters later, the next one being about Queen Chrysalis. You also said laser and teleported a lot. The Changeling Queen. Queen Chrysalis received the letter. She put it on the little table near her, next to Celestia's letter she received a short time ago. Just before she could read it, a changeling shut the door open. Queen? The changeling asked. Yes, General Mandroid, replied the queen. I think you need to know that it's eternal night outside, explained Mandart. Must be Nightmare Moon, she said. But how can we know? Nightmare Moon isn't on the moon, he replied, a little uneasy. She got up and came in front of Mandart. You don't need to give me news, Lieutenant Skyflyer does, she said. General Mandart walked ashamed of his actions. Chrysalis got back to the throne and levitated the letter. "A meeting in front of Canterlot!" she almost screamed. Another changeling, Prince Wishmoth, entered in. "What now? First Mandart, now you. What now?" she said, rolling her eyes. "Mom, it's important. Adagio Dazzle and Nightmare Moon are outside the hive," he said. "Let them in," she replied, putting the letter back on the table. One of the changeling guards opened the door. The guests followed another guard to the throne room. "Hello, Queen Chrysalis," said Nightmare Moon. "Oh, please call me Chrissy," she replied. The queen looked at Nightmare Moon's back right hoof. "Are you hurt?" she asked, wanting to touch the blue part. "No," replied Nightmare Moon. "We're here to discuss about our plans," Adagio explained. "After all, I've also sent a letter to Starlight Glimmer." Starlight Glimmer was one of Celestia's students, like Twilight Sparkle and Sunset Shimmer, Nightmare Moon remarked. Queen Chrysalis levitated the letter off the table and put it next to her. She levitated the table in the other side of the throne and summoned 2 chairs. Adagio and Nightmare Moon sat on them. "Wow, Chrissy, you have wonderful ideas," exclaimed Adagio and Nightmare Moon at the same time. "I know. My mother was working at the furniture store when she was disguised," replied the queen. Lieutenant Skyflyer came in. "It's time for war on Equestria," he said. "Go without me. I'll stay with my friends," she said. The lieutenant left. A few seconds later, silence was over the hive. After some gasps were heard, "You can simply ignore them. They are," she said. "Useless," she finished, whispering. "So, can we go in Canterlot?" asked Adagio. "Yes, but we'll have to wait for Starlight Glimmer," answered Chrysalis. The 3 got out of the hive. Author's note: yes, the next one is about Starlight. The Cutie Unmaker. Starlight Glimmer made a home in the cave. She saw a letter at the entrance. She ran to it and took it to her fire, where she lived, with a blanket, a pillow, bread, apples, carrots, tomatoes, meat, marshmallows, sticks, and her makeup for the equal cutie mark as she occasionally went around. "A meeting in front of Canterlot!" she screamed, then gasped at the sight of that news. She almost dropped the letter in the fire, but catched it quickly before it fell. She put it safe near the makeup. She took a piece of meat and put it on a stick. Her stomach was growling. "I should make a meat sandwich," she said, putting 2 pieces of bread on another stick. She made a toast and put the meat between the slices of toast. She ate it. Later, she went out of her cave with some food to Canterlot. She knew the way to it because she was Celestia's student in the past. She saw Adagio Dazzle, Nightmare Moon, and Queen Chrysalis there. They waved a hoof and told her to come closer. "Are you hungry? I brought some food in here," she said, levitating her bag. "I want a piece of meat," Adagio said. "I want some bread," replied Nightmare Moon. "I don't want anything. I feed with love," Queen Chrysalis said. Adagio and Nightmare Moon ate, and Starlight took an apple. The 3 ate peacefully. The queen faced away and whispered to herself, "Where can I find love here? I'm so hungry." Adagio moved towards her. Chrysalis wanted to teleport, but Adagio stopped her by touching her horn and putting her hoof to the changeling queen's chest. "I see why you don't have any emotions," she said, while circling her. The siren flapped her wings and flew upwards her. Chrysalis saw that she was blocking the sun. Thanks? She tried to say. This is why friends are for. Adagio replied with an evil grin on her face. Chrysalis didn't care about the grin and ignored her. Suddenly she fell asleep. A few hours later, when she woke up, she found the rest of the villains staring at her, as if they could say, "We all know what you've done, Chrissy. Don't hide from the truth." The 4 villains flew to Ponyville for war. Author's note: I will continue with the Ponyville War, but now no spoilers. It will be a surprise. Battle. Rainbow Dash was managing the weather in Ponyville with her element of loyalty on, and she saw the 4 villains heading up to Twilight's castle. "Oh no!" she said. While kicking a black cloud, she went to the castle and told Twilight about it. She gasped and put her element of magic on. She used her magic to hire the other 4 elements of harmony, and they came fast. They putted their respective elements and came in battle. "You could say your last words," said Twilight. She shooted a laser beam at Starlight Glimmer, but she made a square shield and repelled it. Fluttershy used the power of kindness to call Wolf, and he reached to Nightmare Moon. She repelled it, and the wolf ran away. Pinkie Pie used the power of laughter to make piñatas fall out of the sky. Queen Chrysalis popped them. "They're too strong!" screamed Rarity, blasting circles of light at Adagio. "Girls, let's use the power of friendship!" exclaimed Rainbow Dash. The girls' elements glowed, and they made lights of their shards. Colors flowed over them. The lights united together, and the elements glowed brighter, like a very bright shade of white. A rainbow aura was released. Nightmare Moon made a shield in time before the aura hit them. Starlight got injured a bit at the neck. She ran next to Nightmare Moon. Adagio was flying over Nightmare Moon's head. Queen Chrysalis was staying behind Starlight Glimmer. The villains ran behind a house without the main 6 noticing them. They teleported in Twilight's castle. Author's note: introducing the powers of the elements of harmony. Their elements glow and they do something. Canterlot High. "What's this?" Nightmare Moon said, pointing to the mirror to Canterlot High. It's a portal to another world," replied Adagio. Starlight Glimmer went to it and put her hoof in it. Her hoof disappeared, and the mirror began to glow. "Whoa," she said, backing up. "Come on, I've came in Canterlot High, but not with this portal," Adagio said. "I've came in that world when Starlight Swirl the Bearded banished Sonata, Aria, and I there." "Let's go," said Chrysalis. The villains went through the mirror, and they landed in front of the statue. Adagio was used 2 legs, and she helped the rest. She saw a box with 5 necklaces. On it there was a note. It said, "To our siren leader, to our villain friends, Sonata and Aria." They unpacked the box and put in their necklaces. "They only work with hate," Adagio remarked. "How can we get hate then?" Queen Chrysalis said, touching her necklace. "We don't have power, so we first need people to fight for our attention," Adagio explained. The 4 villains entered in Canterlot High with grace. The students were fighting for their attention. A green aura generated out of them. The necklaces were absorbing it. The aura became thicker and thicker later. It stopped when the girls walked away. "Look," Starlight Glimmer said, pointing outside at the statue. The villains looked and saw Twilight Sparkle getting out of the statue. They gasped and searched for a place to hide. They hid in a room. It was a completely dark room. They remained quiet. Defeat. The main six came in Canterlot High. Fluttershy saw an open door in the left. Look, she said, pointing at it. Applejack opened it. Is anybody here? Twilight's gonna find ya, she said. The villains walked out. Everybody was shocked. Looks that you found us, Starlight said. The villains transformed. They got their wings, ears, and extensions. Only Starlight didn't have wings. She was lifted by a vivid Maranath aura. The main six transformed. They flew up to the sky. Rarity used her power of generosity to throw a diamond at Queen Chrysalis, but the changeling queen dodged it. Fluttershy made a pink sphere and throwed it to Starlight Glimmer. The unicorn made a blue shield that blocked it. Adagio Dazzle threw a blast of amaranth notes to Rainbow Dash, but she made a shield like her cutie mark. We need the power of friendship, exclaimed Twilight. They used the power of friendship in the same manner as in Equestria. Rarity made a purple diamond in her hands, Rainbow Dash a red lightning bolt, Fluttershy a pink butterfly, Pinkie Pie a blue balloon, Applejack an orange apple, and Twilight Sparkle a magenta star. The shards flew up, and they made a light. The light turned into a rainbow that banished the villains back in Equestria. Author's note. Yay, the story has come to a finish! That was An Evil Pair by IloveCodeLyoko. A few things need to be said. First off, the grammar and stuff needs to be looked over. Either that or the comedy tag definitely needs to be added. I, towards the end, couldn't take this seriously enough, so I just stopped correcting the grammar mistakes and just went with it. So, to me, it's a comedy. It was enjoyable, though, don't get me wrong. So, until next time, see ya.